Good morning.
Morning.
I asked Les if he would come up and help me a little bit this morning. And I apologize, my voice is kind of funny this morning. Allergies. They decided to kick in this morning. So, and I asked, just reach in and pull something out. Okay. He pulled out a bat. Yeah. And fear of bats is called chiroptophobia. Okay. Reach in and pull something else out. And he pulled out a spider.
Arachnophobia.
That's arachnophobia.
We all know that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he pulled out a snake. Now, fear of snakes is ophidiophobia. And he pulled out a mouse. Okay, this isn't a very scary mouse, but it's a mouse. It's musophobia. There you go. And he pulled out a bug. Oops. Actually, he pulled out more than one bug. That's okay. You don't have to pull out anymore. And a fear of bugs is okay, we'll try it one more time. Entomophobia. And I thank you for your help.
No problem.
So, all of these things are things that people can fear. These are things that we can see. We've got the fear of the spiders and the bats and the snakes and the mice. There's other things that people fear too. A lot of people can fear the dark. Some people fear storms. They can fear heights, or they can fear crowds. We also have things that we fear that people can't see. They may be like a fear of failing. They may be a fear of not being good enough, a fear of trusting, a fear of not saying the right things, or a fear of the unknown. But everybody has a fear of something, or they're scared of something. My fears are kind of a mixture of both, of the seen and the unseen. My nephews got really, really tickled at me. And this was a long time ago, but we went to St. Louis, we went to the zoo, and they thought, oh, wow, the reptile house, how fun. Well, I got about 5 steps in, and these great big snakes were all crawling near the front of the cages, and I walked back out. I have not been in there again, so I don't know if that would be the same thing that I would do today or not, but I am kind of scared of snakes. These are fine because they're plastic. And if I see a real one and I'm out in the woods walking, the snake has the right of way. I let it go where it wants to go, and then I go where I need to be. I also have a fear of heights. When my brother came to do the roof on my mother's house, I told him that if he needed anything from the ground up to the roof, I was fine. No problem. I could do that. I told him if he got me on the roof, he'd probably have to call the fire department to get me down. I can climb up, but if I look down, I can't get down. I also have a fear of bugs. My dear friend Cecilia likes to have bugs, the real insects, for her kids and grandkids and other kids that she's teaching and stuff to look at. So she will be walking along, and all of a sudden she'll say, Gwena, there's a bug. And it's like, okay. And she says, I want that bug. Well, she has a tendency to fall down if she bends over to get the bug, and I don't want her to fall down. So Gwena has to get the bug. Gwena doesn't like bugs, but for Cecilia, I will get the bug. I also have a fear of crowds. When Steve and I were first dating, we went to a Gaithers concert, and which was fine, but I told him that I had a fear of crowds, and that I have had panic attacks, and that I didn't want him to let go of me when the things were over. So he was extremely nice and gentle. We had our seats up. There wasn't anybody around. It worked fine. We got out, and it was like swimming upstream with tons of fish. I mean, it was packed. And he held my hand and got me out of the building, and I was fine once I got out of the building. But if I can't, and even now sometimes if I'm in a crowd and I'm with someone, if I can't see that person, I can get a panic attack. They're not fun. When I kind of realize that I'm having the panic attack, if I remember to ask God to help, I'm fine. But sometimes I don't remember that until I'm in a full-blown panic attack, and then it's a little bit late. But these are all things that we can see that I'm afraid of. I'm also afraid of failing. I'm afraid of not being good enough. And I'm also afraid of not saying the right things. And that happens every Sunday morning when I come up here. But I'm not the only one that is and was afraid. The disciples were afraid also. And this story is in 3 of the Gospels. It's in Matthew, it's in Mark, and it's in Luke. And I'm going to look at the one that's in Mark. So this is Mark 4, verses 35 to 41. And the name of this one is Jesus Calms the Storm. That day when evening came, he said to his disciples, "Let us go over to the other side." Leaving the crowd behind, they took him along, just as he was, in the boat. There were also other boats with him. A furious squall came up, and the waters broke over the boat, so that it was nearly swamped. Jesus was in the stern, sleeping on a cushion. The disciples woke him and said to him, "Teacher, don't you care if we drown?" He got up, rebuked the wind, and said to the waves, "Quiet, be still." Then the wind died down, and it was completely calm. He said to his disciples, "Why are you so afraid? Do you still have no faith?" They were terrified and asked each other, "Who is this? Even the wind and the waves obey him." I wanted to give you a little background on this. Earlier in the day, Jesus had been teaching to a huge crowd. In fact, it was so huge that he had to be out in a boat on the lake to teach to them. And while he was teaching, he gave them the parable of the sower, the lamp on a stand, the parable of the growing seed, and the parable of the mustard seed. And he explained all of those parables to the disciples then after the crowds had left. Then they went across the lake, and a storm blew up. Now, the disciples, a lot of them were fishermen. They made their living by being out on the lake and fishing. So they were used to the waters. They were used to being out on this lake in the middle of a storm. Storms normally did not bother them. They knew what to do. They knew how to guide and how to maneuver so that most storms didn't bother them. But this one did. This one had them scared. So Jesus was asleep. He was asleep through this horrible, terrible storm. And they woke him up. And then Jesus spoke, and everything was calm and peaceful. And the disciples were terrified by this display of power. In our lives, when we're afraid, do we have Jesus in our boat? Do we ask to have him in our boat with us? We don't want to look at the circumstances. We want to look at Jesus' presence. He can calm the situation we're in. He can calm the outside forces. He can calm the emotions and the thoughts that are raging inside of us. And storms don't necessarily mean that we've taken a wrong turn or that we're disobedient. Sometimes God sends a storm as a lesson to help us with our character and with our faith. So do we have faith in the Master of the Sea? And the song that I have for this Sunday is Peace Be Still. Master, the tempest is raging, the billows are tossing high, the sky is o'ershadowed with blackness, no shelter or help is nigh. Carest thou not that we perish? How canst thou be asleep, when each moment so madly is threatening a grave in the angry deep? The wind and the waves shall obey thy will. Peace be still. Whether the wrath of the storm-tossed sea, or demons or men, or whatever it be, no waters can swallow the ship where lies the Master of ocean and earth and skies. They all shall sweetly obey my will. Peace be still, peace be still. They all shall sweetly obey my will. Peace, peace, be still. Master, with anguish of spirit, I bow in my grief today. The depths of my sad heart are troubled. Awaken and save, I pray. Torrents of sin and of anguish sweep o'er my sinking soul. And I perish, dear Master. Oh, hasten and take control. The winds and the waves shall obey my will. Peace be still. Whether the wrath of the storm-tossed sea, or demons or men, or whatever it be, no water can swallow the ship where lies the Master of ocean and earth and skies. They all shall sweetly obey my will. Peace be still, peace be still. They all shall sweetly obey my will. Peace, peace be still. Master, the terror is over, the elements sweetly rest. Earth's sun in the calm lake is mirrored, and heaven's within my breast. Linger, O blessed Redeemer, leave me alone no more, and with joy I shall make the blessed harbor, and rest on the blissful shore. The winds and the waves shall obey my will. Peace be still. Whether the wrath of the storm-tossed sea, or demons or men, or whatever it be, no water can swallow the ship where lies the Master of ocean and earth and skies. They all shall sweetly obey my will. Peace be still, peace be still. They all shall sweetly obey my will. Peace, peace be still.